WNBA is getting 2 new teams, which means it's time for the Women's Basketball Hunger Games, also known as the Expansion Draft. Welcome to the pregame, the WNBA preseason series where I'll be telling you everything you need to know ahead of the league's 30th season. This year, the WNBA is expanding again, adding 2 new teams, one in Portland and one in Toronto. This expands the league to 15 teams in total, and in order for these teams to create their rosters, we have what's called an expansion draft. In the expansion draft, both teams are building their inaugural roster from players that are already in the league. A total of 24 players can be poached in this expansion draft across 2 rounds, with both teams taking a maximum of 12. Portland will have the first pick, and then they will alternate back and forth for 2 rounds of 12. And all of the players chosen will come from existing WNBA rosters. The reason for this is a level playing field. If these 2 new teams built rosters entirely from players brand new to the league, it would take years for them to actually catch up to the level of experience and skill that's already here. But it means that the 13 teams that are already in the league have to take a really good look at their roster and their goals, because each of them are only able to protect a total of 5 players from their current roster from this expansion draft. Those lists had to be submitted to the league by Sunday, and they will not be made public ahead of the draft. However, any of the players that are on that protected list will not be eligible to be taken by Portland or Toronto in this expansion draft. But any player left off of it is fair game. Additionally, Portland and Toronto can't just snatch somebody else's entire roster. A maximum of 2 players from each team can be taken in this expansion draft, and it's not limited to 1 player per team. So that means that there is some strategy that can be played by both Portland and Toronto in this draft. For example, if Portland decided to take 1 player from the Las Vegas Aces with their number 1 pick, the players on the Aces couldn't be selected again until round 2. And if Portland were to take a second player from the Aces in round 2 before Toronto, that means that Toronto wouldn't be able to take a single player from that roster. And the last complicated part here is unrestricted free agents. An unrestricted free agent is a player who no longer has a contract with their current team and is eligible to negotiate with any team in the league, including their own, for the best possible offer. However, free agency doesn't start until after the expansion draft. So if a team does take a player who is an unrestricted free agent, they will take over their rights. And the last thing you need to know going into this expansion draft is that one team in the WNBA has already made a deal not to lose a single player from their current roster. The Chicago Sky traded their 17th overall draft pick to the Portland Fire, receiving the 21st overall draft pick in exchange, and they gave their 26th overall draft pick to the Toronto Tempo. These deals were made in exchange for neither team choosing any players from the Chicago Sky in the expansion draft, which means that there's 2 more picks that will be focused on the other 12 teams in the league. The expansion draft takes place on April 3rd at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, which will be really fun to watch, which means that you're going to see players taken away from their current market and be given a chance to become stars in a new one. Between the expansion, the WNBA 2026 draft, and the most expensive free agency period in league history, the WNBA preseason is set to be one of the most exciting yet. So be sure to follow along for the rest of the pregame.